Hello everybody, welcome to a Facebook Live with Jeannie. I am Jeannie Nielsen, the Card Lady, and I'm so excited to be here with you today. I am coming live from Lynnfield, Massachusetts, and I am about 20 minutes north of Boston when there's no traffic. It's about 82 degrees here, sunny and beautiful, and I have been in my stamp room the entire day. So I'm very excited to be here with you though. I'm busy getting ready for my stamping retreat, which is going to be Saturday, September 16th. It's just 14 days or even 12 days away from now. So I've been busy getting ready, and my fairies in my studio have been helping me, and we're just so excited to be doing that. Today's the last day for sign up, and there is, if you scroll down on my page, there is a retreat to go if you are not local to me. If you are local, there's still a chance to sign up by midnight today for my creative retreat. I decided that I was not going to do the mini catalog yet. And most of that is because I still have 3 packs of the Daisy paper. The Cheerful Daisies paper is just a lovely paper pack. And I decided, even though I'm going to show you the cards that I made designed for my Genie in a Box. That was a brand new thing that I offered to everybody on my mailing list. I believe that I advertised it here too. I started that last month, very exciting. I'll show you the cards that we did, and I am getting ready to advertise. Actually, I think I did advertise. We're doing the next Genie in a Box until the 12th of this month. So anyway, let's get down to business since I'm just stumbling over my words. I'm excited to be here with you though. I'll show you these cards, and then I'm going to show you the cards that I designed after that. And I want to show you the designer paper too. So we're going to go down so you can see everything. Thanks for joining me. Make sure you leave me a comment. Tell me where you're joining from. What's the weather like where you are? I'd love to hear. Okay, I'm going to flip up and then down. That makes sense? That's me. Ta-da! You will see stampingwithjeannie.stampitup.net is my store. I don't have a host code yet because I was told that the host code would not work with the new catalog when it goes live on Wednesday. So you'll have to wait till Wednesday for my host code. But anybody that's subscribed to my Genie in a Box is going to get sent this tutorial, by the way, because I want you to be able to use the rest of your pack of paper as you can. The first page of this is this lovely paper. It's got, let's see, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 different designs that can be used as backgrounds. Let me show you how I use this one, this blue right here. I did this. I cut that little piece into pieces and layered it on top of my, welcome Lois, 97 degrees in Minnesota. That is crazy. I'm glad it's nice and cool here. So anyway, I colored my ribbon with the copper clay. This is the golden vanilla ribbon, colored it with the copper clay. But I cut this into strips right there, this little piece right there. You can see that. I also used this for one of my cards, and let's show you that. That's this one right there. Isn't that so beautiful? Probably my favorite card. And I didn't think I liked wild wheat. The third card I used a different sheet of paper. I did it with this. This pink one is very popular in there. Moody Mauve. I made this into an easel card. I just love this card too. That's the card. It opens like that. This is the side of it. So, nice, fun card, but so easy to make. And my fourth card was just regular, just like this. And more golden vanilla ribbon, since that was included in the kit, as well as the dots, which was included in the kit. Didn't stamp anything inside, but of course it's easy to stamp something inside, and you should. Okay, so this is the first page of the designer paper, and I want to tell you that the one thing that I noticed about this is that the backs of this has all of the in colors, all of the new in colors. So of course this is Moody Mauve. Let me show you some more pieces of paper. I'm going to take the whole pack out of here. This one has Pebbled Path on the back. And of course I love this. This reminds me, it looks more like bees rather than flowers, but it's so pretty, so fun and cheerful. And I'm making a card with that today. This is the copper clay. on here, and on the other side, well, there's no in color on there, but I love this, and I paired this with, I think I made a card with this one today too. So stay live, and I'll show you. This is the Moody Mauve that I was telling you about, and this is the Wild Wheat on the back. So it's a great background piece if you don't like the front. Very easy to use though. This is the one that I used on that card with the blue, and I'm using it on a card today as well. And on the back we have copper clay. So all the in colors are on the back of the designer paper and featured. And then of course, I love all of the colors on the front. And is that it? Oh no, I missed one. Missed one piece. This piece right here, another one. The background here is Pebbled Path again. And it has the boho blue on the back. So there you go. That's all of your in colors, all of the 5 new in colors. Let's get down to business and start our class for today. This class is free with a $35 order. And don't forget, on Wednesday, we go live with the new catalog. I'm so excited. Can't wait to show you this one. I have a base, nothing inside of this one, unfortunately, but this is Garden Green, 5.5 by 8.5. Very easy. Standard card base. Then I have all of my pieces here. I have a piece of crushed curry. This is 2.25 by 5.5 inches, and this is going to go right across the front. 2.25 by 5.5 inches, because this piece is 2 inches by 5.5 inches, which means you're going to get 12 pieces out of every sheet of the designer paper. And since you have 2 of them, you could get 24 if you decided to just make this card. Of course, there's so many other options that who would just make that card, but I'm just telling you that's what that is. Let's glue that together. I don't know if I have any glue. Oh yeah, my glue works. I'm excited. I found a whole bunch of new containers. No, I found a whole bunch of used containers of glue that have been packed away because I've been cleaning up my room, getting ready for the next retreat. That's always a good time to clean, because then I figure out what I'm taking with me and whatever. And then I find out what I had with me the last time, but never unpacked. So that happened to be one that was in my box that actually works, which is really cool. I'm just going to actually adhere this in the middle of this card right here, right in the middle of the card front. So I've layered it. You could pop it up if you want to. I am not going to. I'm just going to lay it right there. So your designer paper is 2 inches by 5.5. Crushed curry is 2.25 by 5.5, and that leaves you an 1/8 inch on each side. Next, we are going to, I've already done the die cuts. Now, this stamp set has some great dies with it. Let me show you the dies very quickly. I have most of them here. This is one of the dies, and this one is actually my favorite. It cuts out all those 3 flowers and the leaves all at the same time. This is one of my favorite label dies right now. Just love that. Each of these, oh, I didn't pack it away. I don't have it here, but each of these flowers also have a solid outline. So, and that's what I used under here to layer these flowers. So you see, I cut out one piece of the basic white, and then underneath it's 3 individual dies, but they're so easy to layer. Actually, I say they're so easy, but I had to keep twisting and turning to figure out how they matched up. I don't seem to have a great eye for 3D stuff and how things, I'm relatively good at puzzles, but for some reason, this one I just couldn't see. So anyway, that's the dies for the most part. And then you can also cut out these more, layer these over top as well, and get an even more intricate image right there. Cuts out the flower middles, it cuts out the leaves. So there we go. I have here my 3. And what I did you know what? I took my, oh, nope, here they are. My paper snips are right here. They're usually always here, and I must have used them. Remember I said you've got the 3 flowers and you got the leaves. I'm just going to snip off the leaf right there. We don't need it. And you can't even see that it's snipped off. If you want to separate all these and have 3 different flowers, you certainly can. One thing that I don't have here is my brush to clean out the centers. But I had this bright idea that I was going to make a mask for the centers of my card. See here, I did the brown on the outside and then the yellow on the crushed curry on the inside. And I decided I was going to make a mask and put that over when I stamped the espresso. And then it was going to be nice and bright for when I stamped my crushed curry in the middle. And I did exactly what I'm going to tell you not to do. So I ended up not even using the mask because I discovered that you can see the yellow anyway. See, I'm just taking my paper snips and just kind of cleaning this out a tiny bit. Anyway, I took the mask and then I had it over top of my stamp and I put it right into the espresso ink and then stamped my card. And of course you can imagine, not only did I not have my center, I had a completely clear, and because my paper was, I put in the ink pad. The mask is supposed to be removed before you stamp. Either before you stamp or before you ink. And boy, did I make a mess of that. Anyway, I'm not going to clean this anymore. I'm just going to stamp very quickly the centers. So like I said, I have the espresso ink and I'm going to stamp the center on all three of these. And I think I stamped using the large one on this, and I think it's a little bit too big. And like I said, of course, it doesn't help that I use the mask, but we're going to stamp just a little one there and just a little one up here. So you see how easy that was there. I'm going to use the large one right here on the center. I'm not standing up, so hopefully I am in camera for you guys. Let me just stand up so I can see what I'm doing. Just going to stamp that. So I didn't do a great job getting in the center, but I don't want to make it too brown because then the yellow won't show through. What I'm going to do now, let me clean my stamp before I get it all over everything. What I'm going to do now is, let's use a wet one to clean. Okay, so what I'm going to do now is take my crushed curry ink, which I have here in my basket, and I'm going to use the smaller one, and I'm going to stamp in the middle of the brown, and that's going to make it look more yellow. And if you ask me why I'm doing that, I'm looking at the flower here, and you can see that there's brown around the outside and then the yellow on the inside. So you're not going to see it too much, especially on the, oh, I should be standing up for this. Not doing a great job, but you get the idea. Oh my goodness, look at that. So that's what you don't do when you're in a hurry. You see that I've got a halo when I stuck it in my thing, but anyway, I'm not going to glue it down really well, and I'm going to have to restamp before I finish so that my card looks nice when I send it out to somebody. Okay, so here we go. I'm going to add these to the back. I'll just put another one. I'll just glue another one over top and nobody will even know. That's what I'm going to do. So here I have I put the glue on the back of my big one, and what I want to do is try to figure, and I think that this is, yeah, that's how you do it. That's how it lines up. For some reason I can see it sitting down, but standing up I can't see it. I'm just going to layer that on top, and I'm going to do that with all three of these. And you understand, oops, that's not what you do. You put the glue on the back of these, because that one is going to go on the card. So I'm going to put a little bit of glue on the back. I'm going to layer this just like this. I can see how it goes just because I'm right side up here. This is actually much easier than I'm making it look. I'm not going to convince anybody to buy these dies the way I'm stamping it, and I apologize, but it really is not as hard as it looks. I'm trying to glue this. I don't know if you guys remember the daisy punch from years ago. We had a daisy punch, and there was a petal that was off, and if you didn't line it up just right, it didn't work. It was, when you stamped it, it was crazy. This is not like this. It seems like it is, but it's not. So let me just put that right there. And this is the card that you're going to pay attention to here. The thing that I'm going to do with these leaves is I'm just going to take some garden green ink, and I'm not going to worry about if the leaves match up or not. Let me get some scrap paper here so I don't get my nice thing all wet, all dirty. I'm not going to worry about this. All I really want to do is get green on this thing. So if it's not perfectly lined up, it's okay. And that's that. I just want to make it look like it's been stamped a little bit. And the other thing I'm going to do is snip off this little piece of green there because I just couldn't find a good spot for it. So we're going to do that, and we're going to take out the center. And what we're going to do is layer that right here on the card, like I did on this one. Ta-da. And I've got my label here all ready to stamp. This is, like I said, my favorite label going right now. I'm going to stamp this in Early Espresso. And all three of my cards today or four of my cards happen to be birthday cards. Wishing you the brightest birthday. Let's stand up and do this. Stamp that. Ta-da. Easy. And what I'm going to do is pop that up with some dimensionals right here on the side. It is a pretty card when you stamp it right and you're not in a hurry, guys. It really, really is. There. And then I took some of this Parakeet Party metallic ribbon, and I am just going to tie this into a bow. And I'm going to lay it on there, layer it with my glue dot. I'm going to just find a good spot for it. I kind of felt like the best spot for it was at the bottom of I put it in a couple of different spots, and I decided at the bottom of my thing was the best. But you know what? Why in the world did I put my leaves way up there? I guess oh my goodness, guys. You'd think I'm nervous or something. This isn't what I'm trying to do. I'm so sorry. I'll use my adhesive eraser. Does everybody have an adhesive eraser? Mine gets used all the time. Not sure where that is, so don't pay attention to that. But maybe we'll just put yeah, we're just going to layer that right there. I guess the point of today's Facebook Live is you don't have to be perfect to stamp and be a demonstrator. That's today's theme, okay? Because you can tell I'm not perfect. Forgot the most important thing that I wanted to teach you guys. We're still gonna do it. Okay, now I don't know if you noticed on these leaves, let me show you. Is this the paper I used? This is the paper I used. These leaves look like they've got some, almost like some gray on them. And I was going to layer them. You can see it a little bit better on this sheet. It looks like they've got some gray, and it's probably more shadows than anything. And I was thinking, oh, maybe I'll cut out the smoky slate and put that on top. But I decided, no, that's not what we're going to do. We're just going to do some watercoloring. So I have my smoky slate ink pad here. I've already squeezed the ink into the lid. Let me tell you, that takes some really tremendous strength to do that. I've got my water painter here, and I'm just going to really, really water it out because I don't want that much color. I just want a little bit. I'm just going to paint these leaves, even the ones that I smeared with my yellow. Let me do it in the camera. I did it like this. I'm just going to paint them a little bit with my water painter and my ink that's in my lid. And this is going to end up giving a shadow and making it look really, really, really cool. It looks better when I'm not in a hurry and I haven't already smeared a bunch of crushed curry ink over there. So I'm trying to teach or if you don't layer it on too thick because you're in such a hurry, just take your time. And I'm just adding just enough color. I'm really, really kind of diluting it out because too much, I don't want these flowers to be gray. I just want them to have the shadows. So that's what I'm doing there. So that is how I did it You can see it much better here. This is when it dries. You can see a little bit of the gray. It's going to dry lighter. Still, where I was too heavy with my hand, it's going to be darker. But what I'm going to do is just die cut another set of these white flowers, and I'm going to plop it right over top, and I'm going to do a better job this time. So that is, ta-da, my first card. It really is a pretty card, and it's an easy card. I just can't be in a hurry. So I'm going to slow down from now on. I'm so glad you guys are joining me. Make sure you leave me a comment. I can't comment back. I can't do two things at the same time. Anybody will tell you that is not my thing. But I promise to get back to all of the comments that you leave me and reply to you. That's one thing I do. Even if you leave them in 2 weeks when you're watching a replay, if you leave me a comment, I'll go back and read it. Because right now I'm small enough that I can do that. Okay, so that's the first card. Let's go on to card number 2. And I really love card number 2 also. This is my card number 2. It's Pretty Peacock for the card base, so it's 5.5 by 8.5. And then I cut pieces of this designer paper 3 inches by 4 inches. So if it's 3 inches by 4 inches, I think you're going to get 12 pieces again. You'll get 3 if you go 3 inches across. So you get 4 that way, 4, 8, 12. Yes, you're going to get 12 pieces of the designer paper if you do this. My cardstock, my copper clay, is just 1/4 of an inch bigger, 3 1/4 by 4 1/4. And then I was trying to figure out a good color to bring in, and I ended up deciding that the Lost Lagoon was a really pretty color. But I did stamp my sentiment here in Pretty Peacock. Let me show you how I did this card. Really simple and quick. So like I said, 5.5 by 8.5. And then I'm going to layer on my designer paper. 3 inches by 4 inches on my copper clay, 3 1/4 by 4 1/4. Gives you an 1/8 inch margin on all sides. It's actually one of my favorite measurements to use. So that's first, and I am going to adhere that directly to my card base. So there we go. I'm going to glue that right on. If you wanted to make it a little bit more detailed, you could always do a 4 by 5 1/4 inch mat that you emboss, maybe in Pretty Peacock. I think the white might be too stark, so I would probably do it in Pretty Peacock again. And you'll see that I'm going to do that in one of my next cards that I actually decided it needed a little bit of something extra. Okay, so I've put that there, and then I have this 1 inch by 2 7/8. So if you want to call it 1 inch by 3 inches, you can. What I decided was you really want it to be 1 inch. I'm going to use my Banner Pick-a-Punch, and it slides right in because the widest one is 1 inch. If your widest, it slides right in when I want it to. I make sure on the back that I see it and it looks even. Sometimes it slides, not too often when it's the perfect size. I originally was trying to make it 7/8 of an inch, and then it slides around and it's really hard to figure out where you're going to put it. So I did 1 inch so it didn't have any sliding around to do. And what I'm going to do is, once again, with my Wishing You the Brightest Birthday stamp sentiment, I'm going to take the Pretty Peacock ink, going to stand up, and I'm going to stamp it right here. Ta-da. Clean that really good before it goes anywhere else. Now I'm using a new product on this card, which I think is really cool. In the new catalog, one of the things they have is this copper foil, and it's like a copper with, oh, I don't even know what colors. Does it say? Oxidized copper paper, specialty paper. And one looks like Pretty Peacock, and this one looks more like, actually probably like pecan pie, I'm deciding. So you could use either one. All I'm using is a little strip. On this one, I used the green. You could certainly use the pecan pie as well, and if you wanted to. It's just a 1/2 inch strip by 3 inches, and I'm just going to layer that right here on the card, just for a little bit of interest. I'm not popping it up or anything. I'm just kind of layering it right there. And then I'm going to pop this one up though, my sentiment, right over top of that. Yeah, that'll work. Let me get my dimensionals. We call it bump it ups, pop ups. Everybody has a different name for it, don't they? But I like bump it up. It's kind of fun. Putting that right there. And the only other thing I'm going to do is just add this little fern. I could do anywhere. I'm going to add it right there in between my flowers. I'm just going to add, I don't want to put too much ink glue on. I did that with one of my other things and then it makes a mess. Smears, and then I have to get my adhesive eraser out. I'm going to put it right there. Ta-da. I was going to put a ribbon on here. I was going to put a piece of copper clay ribbon on here, but I couldn't figure out where to put it. And I think that looks fine just the way it is. So card number 2, just like that. This one, like I said, is cut out of Lost Lagoon. This is this is actually probably the leaves for daisies. They're very fine, feathery leaves. Or at least for the wild daisies they are. I haven't had Shasta daisies come up in my garden for a while, so I couldn't tell you for sure if that's true, but I do remember these feathery, ferny type of leaves. So that's card number 2. Card number 3 is a fancy fold card. It actually takes a full piece of paper. Let me get my mess out of here. The only stamp that I really think I need on here, well, let me show you the card. And I'm really excited about this card. This is my card. And remember I said that sometimes the space is too stark, too plain, and you can emboss the same color, just a layer of it. I don't usually emboss the actual card base because I find that it feels like it weakens the fibers of the card, and the card isn't as thick if I do that, which is why I layer it on top of the same color. Look at this. So this is copper clay. I'm going to show you how to make this card. And yes, I wanted this ribbon to work. It might be a stretch. I think if you really look hard, you can see a little bit of pool party in there. More than balmy blue or boho blue. This is boho blue. I really, really wanted this ribbon to work because I love how it ties. So let me tell you how I made this card. Let me show you how I made the card. I have here my scoreboard. And what we're going to start with is a full sheet of paper. So let me get my mess out of the way so that we're ready to go. What we're going to do, this full sheet of paper, we're going to score it in half on the long side at 5.5 inches. So that's our first score, and that is this. Oh, I didn't show you the best part of this card, did I? Wait till you see this. This is so fun and so easy. People are going to be wowed. It just takes a little bit more designer paper and a tiny bit more work. Okay, so I scored it at 5.5. Now on the short side, I am going to score it at 2 1/8 of an inch. And if you really want a clue, if you have trouble remembering this, 2 1/8 is half of 4 1/4, which is your center. So that right here, if I went down the middle, would be my center. But I'm going to score it at 2 1/8 all the way down. And then on the other side of my 4 1/4 is another 2 1/8. So half of the 4 1/4 on this side is going to be 6 3/8. Now, yes, I do know this measurement off the top of my head, but I'm telling you how to remember it. So half of 4 1/4, 2 1/8 inch on each side of 4 1/4. What we're going to do next is some cuts. And I'm not going to use my paper snips for this because this is a lot of cutting for a second. But okay, so what I'm going to do is cut up to the score mark on each side of one of these sides. So I'm going right to the center, or right to the first score line on each side. And then I honestly, well, let's do it this way. Okay, so then I'm going to cut out this rectangle right here on both sides. So and this is my top rectangle that I'm cutting out, not my bottom. And I'll show you that in just a second. I'm going to cut it out here. And then when I fold it, I'm going to remember what I'm supposed to tell you about cutting just a little bit below that score line, because otherwise it's too bulky when you fold it. So these are my favorite scissors of all times. Stampin' Up! Used to have these. They're the craft and adhesive scissors. No, craft and rubber scissors. Maybe they're not even that. But anyway, they're the craft scissors that they used to carry. And boy, oh boy, is it a favorite of mine. I was using my bone folder today. Hang on one second. This is my favorite bone folder. Trying not to slip on all my papers that are on the floor here. This is my favorite bone folder. This was from Backstage in New Orleans from Judy last year. Just love this one with my name on it. Can't get it wrong. I'm going to fold these sides in, and this is the base of my card. So right here, like that. And I'm going to take just a sliver off, a tiny bit more off, especially off the middle. Just a tiny bit. And the reason for that is because when I fold this, so you go a tiny bit below your score line. When I fold this, if I leave that there, it's going to be too bulky to close. So now I can close my card. And there you go. Voila. So this is the base of your card. So let's build on it now that I've done that. Remember I said this was, let me show you. And you can decide for yourselves. But this is another piece of the paper. Because I cut it at 3 inches by 4 inches, I have 2 rows of paper, the designer paper, that has these daisies that have the copper clay centers. So I've got that. If I put that on here, that's a little blah. I think it's a little blah. I didn't do a very good job cutting with my paper cutter. There we go. Let me adhere this first, and then I'll get into that a little bit more, and I'll show you why and how I embossed that. So I'm going to add this right to there. So designer paper's 3 by 4, which means my paper, my cardstock underneath it, 3 1/4 by 4 1/4 inches. So blah, we're going to take it to wow. So this is the distressed brick folder, and I thought it's very appropriate because a lot of times you might see daisies growing by bricks or whatever. So that's what I used, the distressed brick folder, and I'm going to just adhere that to the front of my card base. I would use your multi-purpose glue for this because if you can see this, it has lots of little nooks and crannies. Lots and lots. I have a patient at work who's always talking about nooks and crannies. Well, here I am talking about nooks and crannies. Isn't that funny? Just in honor of Bruce, I guess. If you use the snail, you're going to miss some of those, and it's just not going to stick as well. I know that from experience. Or it might stick for a while, and then with humidity or whatever, it's going to lift pretty easily. I'm just attaching that. Then I'm going to, before I attach this, I want to tie my ribbon. So this is the Balmy Blue and White Variegated ribbon. Balmy Blue is not the same color as Boho Blue. It's even brighter. To me, this ribbon almost looks like Pool Party more than Balmy Blue. But whatever blue you use it with, it's going to look beautiful, I've decided. So I'm just going to tie this. I just love how this ribbon ties. Look at that beautiful bow. And I didn't even work very hard at that. I love tying bows. I absolutely love tying bows. I'm gonna move this ribbon to this side, and I'm not gonna do anything more. I tried to put a sentiment on here. Maybe this would have been a good place for a sentiment. I think I got rid of the one I was gonna put there though. So let me see. Let me attach this. No, I'm gonna pop it up. I forgot. Let me pop it up with my dimensionals, which are MIA. So I guess we're going to use our little mini dimensionals. Many mini dimensionals, because in one of my buckets here, I put my dimensionals instead of putting them back in the envelope. Let's do that. Just a few more. If you've got your corners already uncovered, you don't see, I'm just loading these on. But you know, seriously, you don't even have to take off the backs as long as your four corners are already removed. So we're gonna go like that. And then with all that open space, I wonder if it would look nice with that. Whoop. I cut this for it. Still on the table, sorry. Still trying not to break my neck. You could almost put that there. Yeah, let's put that there. This one, we're going to say you made my day. So now, in fact, I can't say wishing you the brightest birthday, because you made my day and wishing you a brightest birthday just doesn't work. But it needs a little something. So what I will stamp on the inside, if I can find my basic white, here it is my daisy. So this is the rest of what we're going to do. So I've built the card base, but now what I'm going to do is build the inside. And what I have here is, first of all, I think actually these are all the same. I use this, these are the backs of the Pebbled Path background daisies, but there is an area, if you, from these daisies at the top, there's about 4 inches. And I actually, for this one of these, I don't know which one of those, this is from the top of that paper. So don't throw away the paper just because it's blank. You can use that. And then I used this paper for the rest of it. So pretty much the same color. It's the boho blue. What I'm going to do is attach these panels on the inside and outside. You could emboss something this size if you wanted to, if you didn't want to use designer paper, if you just wanted to use cardstock. You could probably even use cardstock if you stamp it or whatever. It's up to you. You probably want to know how big these panels are. So because remember I told you that this was 2 1/8 inches from score line to edge. So I wanted 1/8 of an inch. So this is 1 7/8. 1 7/8 by 5 1/4, because of course it's 5 1/2 inches tall. 1 7/8 by 5 1/4 for all 4 of these panels. Right here, let me add these last 2. If I wanted to, I could actually do that, but I'm not going to, because I'm going to stamp a blue daisy inside on my basic white. And I'll have to stamp something else inside instead of wishing you the brightest birthday, because of what I put on the front to cover that white space of my blue. There we go. Okay, let me just stamp the daisy if I can find it. Did I leave it on the table? Okay, well, let me just put the, let's see. Yep, sorry, I have no idea where my daisy went. No idea at all. But what I was going to do, or what I did do, one of the daisies in our stamp set, which also is now MIA. Oh no, it's right here. I stamped that daisy in boho blue on the inside of this card. So, see, I used copper clay to say, wishing you the brightest birthday. This is boho blue, that daisy, that solid daisy right there. And then I used the smaller flower center copper clay for the inside. So just pretend I did that because my stamp isn't here. So we'll call this card number 3. So you could do either way. Let's pretend I finished this card, and that's card number 3. One more card to show you. Stay with me, guys. I know I'm long-winded, but I love this. This is going to use this design of my first designer paper page. And the reason I'm doing that is because I love this bright pink, and everything else today has been a little bit dark. We've had our garden green, we've had our pretty peacock, and we'd had the copper clay, they're all a little bit dark. Perfect for fall though, don't you think? What I'm going to do is, rather than cutting with a scissor, I'm going to use my paper trimmer. And I'm going to put the line that separates these two patterns right in my track, right there. And I'm going to I'm going to stand up to do this. I'm going to put my cutting blade right at the beginning. I'm going to cut from this edge to the inside to the outside because I don't want to cut into this patterned paper here. If I wanted to, I have more cutting to do though. I have to tell you, I'm not quite done there. But if I wanted to, I could cut right down the line here, just like I did, because these papers are all in the same plane for cutting. It's really not that hard to cut this designer paper apart at all. Okay, I need to do something though. Oh, I need to show you the card, don't I? That's what I'm going to do. I'm going to show you the card. I wanted to do it on Bubble Bath, but it was a little bit too plain. So this is my card. I put it on Pool Party so I could use my Pool Party ribbon. And yes, that's exactly why I used Pool Party, because I wanted to use this ribbon. Usually I do it the other way around. I figure out my base and then I pick my ribbon. Well, I knew I wanted to do a Pool Party ribbon. I have a piece of basic white, which is going to be my mat. That's 4 by 5 1/4 inches. This is already 4 inches. So what I need to do is cut this down a little bit further. What I'm going to do is cut, what am I going to do? I think I'm going to cut 1/8 of an inch off of each side, because I think this ends up being 3 3/4 inches, if I'm right. Yep, 3 3/4 inches. So I'm going to cut 1/8 off of each side. If you cut off, I always, when I make my decisions, I either say, oh, there's more white space on this side than that side, so I'll be able to take it all off of that side. Or because this is equidistant from the edge, I'm going to take 1/8 of an inch. So that right there is 1/4 inch. That's my 1/8 inch right there. Using this side of the track. And this one, well, I'm going to do it the same way. If I wanted to, I could also, as a check, I could put this edge at 3 3/4, which is where I want it. I want it at 3 3/4, so I can go like that, and there's my 1/8 of an inch off that way. So either way, this is a super easy card to make. Really easy. The hardest part is tying the bow, so I've got an option for you for that too, though. Okay, so I'm going to layer my 3 3/4 inches by, I think it's 4 inches. It doesn't even matter, because I'm just going to layer that on here. And it's going to leave some white space at the bottom. So that's where I decided to stamp my sentiment. Unfortunately, I'm going to take a chance that I stamp it perfectly, because I really feel like I need to figure out where I'm going to stamp it before, after I've attached my designer paper layer. And what I decided to do, even though this is Pool Party, I decided the Lost Lagoon ink was probably the darkest. I kind of felt like if I could do Memento, certainly could do Memento. But if I use Pool Party, I felt like it would look a little washed out. And then it would really emphasize how this does not match the Pool Party. I just decided it matched. Okay, so we've got our Lost Lagoon. let me move this up here and stand up, ink that up. One of the nice things about the photopolymer stamps is I know I'm not stamping it upside down. I forget, last week we were making the cards that I had made for my Facebook Live, and some people stamped it upside down because they were red rubber, so it was really hard to tell. Beautiful. I could just leave it and not put the ribbon on there if I wanted to. Let me show you what I'm thinking about for this if you decide that you don't want to do your ribbon like I did. So what I did when I put this on here like this, and I tied the ribbon. I'm showing you what I did, and then I'm going to show you the other option, which is probably easier if you don't like to make bows, or if you have trouble making perfect bows. So I tied it like this. This is how I made my bow, right on here. I usually just keep sliding down until I feel like I have a big enough tail to loop around and make this. And then of course you have to kind of fiddle with it. You know, not a bad looking bow, is it, guys? But I wanted to show you that it's easy to do, but that's not what we're going to do. What we are going to do instead is put this right at our seam, just like that, and we're going to attach it behind. Just like that. And you know what I'm going to use, since glue dots do not seem to be present? I'm going to use my tear and tape to hold it in place. That's another, you could certainly use, I don't like to use Scotch tape too much because with Scotch tape, it's not acid free, so it could deteriorate the cards. If your cards are meant to be kept forever, which of course they are, right? I wish that was a little higher, but I didn't turn it over to look. So now what I'm going to do is make my bow here, just like this, and I can keep fussing with it and keep making it perfect without a problem, just like that. Anybody wants to hire me to make bows, just give me a call. Love making my bows. The funny thing is, when I first started tying my shoes, I think I've said this before, my shoes never stayed tied, but that's how I tie my bows, and they stay tied. Oh, here's my glue dots right here. Thank goodness, because I have to attach this. So this is what we're going to do. We're going to attach it right here. And I'm at the top of my ribbon because I want you to be able to see, of course, the sentiment. Let's attach this real quick, just like this. I'm not real fancy with my glue. Some people are real particular about how they attach it, but mine always stays, and I love using my glue. So there you go. You got the two options, and honestly, this one probably looks nicer just because it's flatter. This one is a little twisted. You know, it would be a little, it's not bad. Not bad at all. And in fact, if I use my glue dot right there, I could keep it, but this one is a little bit nicer. You know what I'm going to do is use one more glue dot under my ribbon so that my ribbon does not slide around. There we go. It's not going to flip up. There we go. Perfect. Let's use this one. Love this. Okay, so I hope you enjoyed these cards today. Show you all of them once more. This was the one that I did previously. Watercolored the leaves with the smoky slate, stamped with the espresso, and then the yellow in the middle, the crushed curry. Espresso for my sentiment parakeet party bow, and I stamped some garden green on my garden green leaves. And this leaf was, I forgot to call attention to that, but that was the leftover of this die right there. So that's what that is. I just cut it out of garden green instead. So that's that. Card number 1. Card number 2, I did this one. This is the oxidized copper from the mini catalog. Goes with the All About Autumn suite. You're going to see it soon. If you haven't already, order it on September 6th, because you're going to love it. Copper clay base, matte under my designer paper. Simple, simple. 1 inch by 2 7/8 of an inch was the size of my banner right there. Number 3, my fancy card. I'll show you this. Ta-da! The 2 panels. Stamp inside. Nobody wants naked insides or naked envelopes. Mine are always until I send them out. And then card number 4, of course, is this beautiful one. Nice and bright and cheerful for the end of summer. So let's flip back. Oh, thank you, Joyce. Thank you all for joining me. I'm telling you, I get so worried about doing a Facebook Live. What am I going to do? And then I have so much fun doing it. It's kind of funny. I remember, I have to tell you very quickly, you can tune out if you don't want to, but I did a speech class when I was the top of my class in English, except that I had to do a public speaking class and I couldn't public speak at all. And she was actually my mentor. She took me under her wing and she said, Jeannie, you have to talk. You have to talk. She did. And I learned some of my best speech practices from her. But now I just love talking to you guys. But I hope you're having a great Labor Day. Fall is coming, but enjoy the day today yet. Enjoy family. Thank you for loving my cards. Thank you for leaving comments. I will see you next week. Don't forget to order on September 6th. Bye.